So, what is going on with Chaos? Now, I don't mean the 2-wound scenario, because that is a different video within itself, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that will be coming fairly soon. I mean, what's going on with Chaos in the lore? For me, as an Imperial player, I've always said, and again, this may be quite controversial, the 40k setting is an eternal war with Chaos versus the Imperium. Those two are the main people. Everyone else is just added to it. Eldar, Necrons, Gene Stealers, Tyranids, you're all just side quests to this main big boss battle, or this main big quest of Chaos versus the Imperium. But what we've had now since the coming of the Great Rift is that I personally think Chaos has fell off, and they are no longer the main threat. They are no longer the main enemy in the setting. Now, just so we're all on the same page, basically what has happened is, with 8th edition, there's been the Great Rift. Abaddon blew up Cadia, the pylons collapsed. The pylons were the things that were keeping the Eye of Terror in place. It was keeping the warp from seeping into the galaxy, but that's gone now, and now what we have is this great scar across the Imperium, or should I say across the galaxy. It's unfair to call it the Imperium. Technically, the Imperium is across the galaxy, but there's other races and other empires across the galaxy as well. So we have this scar, this rift as we call it, across the galaxy. And when I saw this, and I was like, okay, Chaos are now coming. This is like the age of Chaos. What they've made now is like a beachhead across the entire galaxy for their forces to launch massive attacks from, not only against the Imperium, but for other races as well. It's like free real estate. Like, some people don't understand the gravity of the situation when it comes to splitting the galaxy in half with this Great Rift. That Great Rift that is just conquered over entire planets. We're talking about planets that were fortress worlds, chapter worlds hosting, thousands of space marines, agri worlds who are supplying entire systems with food. There's worlds now just dying because there's no food, water, anything like that. You have Mechanicus worlds, forge worlds that were supplying them with bolters, las guns, bullets, tanks. All them were snuffed out in a blink of an eye with the Great Rift. So I was like, okay, this is where Chaos are coming now. It is their time. They mean business. But what we've seen since the Great Rift is really a lackluster effort from Chaos. Like, what is going on with the leadership of Chaos? Maybe they're building up to something big with Abaddon. I know this whole situation around Vigilus at the moment, which I could go into and talk about why I completely disagree how the first part of that ended, with Abaddon leaving Calgar and going back to the Vengeful Spirit. Calgar was this main beacon of hope to the Imperium, to the civilizations on Vigilus, to the Space Marine forces, to the sector itself. If Abaddon finished Calgar, the Imperium would have been finished in that sector. But instead, he chose to go back to his ship. I know it's I can make an entire video dedicated to that, why I think that was a wrong decision. So to go back to Vigilus and redo this again, and I have read the lore for it. The lore is a little bit better, but it's still not making it slap for me for Chaos. I want Chaos to be this main threat. I want them to use this Great Rift, as I mentioned, like the beachhead it is, to start launching these massive incursions, these attacks. Think of like Black Crusades, but on a galaxy-spanning scale. That's what I thought would be coming from the Great Rift, but we haven't had anything like this at all. I don't know if you'll agree with this point, but I personally think now the Orcs and the Tyranids are a much bigger threat than Chaos. With the Great Rift that has happened and it's cut off the Imperium, as I mentioned, the Orcs have took massive advantage of this because they're looting world after world after world. The reinforcements that usually come to bail out these worlds, Space Marine chapters, countless Imperial Guard regiments, Mechanicus, everything like that, can no longer get to them. They can no longer travel in the warp as easily as they did before. Entire fleets get lost. So the Orcs are building up their forces. They're taking more stuff, looting more worlds. They're growing in numbers. Same with the Tyranids as well. They are launching more and more attacks on different worlds and consuming biomass, building up their forces. The reinforcements can't get to them. So I'm looking at this situation now where Chaos has put this massive threat onto the galaxy, and I thought it was the Chaos endgame, and really, the Orcs and the Tyranids are probably going to come out tops with this whole situation. Now, we have had some lore stating what Abaddon's plans may be, and this is a maybe. So if you've read the Dawn of Fire series, you'll probably understand what I'm going to go into now. If you haven't and you don't want to be spoiled, then I'm going to put like a little spoiler marking on top. Just turn this bit off of the video. I'll even do like a chapter to it so it doesn't spoil it for you. But what basically Abaddon is planning to do, he's trying to bring the Eye of Terror, or that warp area, into reality to collapse onto the galaxy. So the entire galaxy is destroyed. So everything's destroyed. The Imperium, the Orcs, the Tyranids, the Necrons, everything is bloody destroyed. Again, that is just one of his possible plans. We don't know that for a fact. On the subject of the Dawn of Fire books, by the way, this is not really a rant, but they sold these Dawn of Fire books as like the next Horus Heresy kind of thing, and I was really excited for that because I've loved the Horus Heresy stories so far. But what we've got with the Dawn of Fire series, I personally think, is just bolt upon. Like, there is some story elements to it, but most of it is just Space Marines, Custodes, Sisters of Battle, Imperial Guard just shooting things and stuff exploding. I don't know if you feel the same way about that at all, but for me, it doesn't really hit like the Horus Heresy hit in the early stages. It's not really bringing me in and get me attached to the story. If anything, I'm feeling like, okay, it's just more explosions. I think there's a couple of ways to fix this. One is to make Abaddon more of a threat. I know Abaddon's become meme these days. Abaddon the Armless, the 13 Black Crusades, all failures. Technically, what they've done now with the lore, they went back and said every time Abaddon did a crusade, he reached his objective, and that objective was, you know, knocking out more Blackstone. So the Great Rift actually happened. So Abaddon, making him more ruthless, making him a bigger threat. Again, why don't we see like a new Black Crusade launched, or something on the lines of Black Crusade, which is not this whole thing at Vigilus? Why are we not seeing Abaddon in the northern part of this like Imperium that is cut off from everyone, just unleashing, going after the Blood Angels, maybe going after Dante? Dante's a Lord Commander in the north. Imagine the blow it would cause to the Imperium if Abaddon managed to kill Dante and wipe out the Blood Angels, because technically it's possible now, because the amount of reinforcements that could normally go to them is not really there. Yes, of course, they have the Primaris Marines and everything, but this is the perfect point now to start knocking off kings from the chessboard. The other way to fix it is make another character who is also a threat to the Imperium. Now, this could be a Primarch. I'm saying Magnus, Mortarion. We've kind of had Magnus and Mortarion with their story arcs. Mortarion with the Plague Wars and what happened to him at the end of that. Magnus, of course, on his little sorcerer planet and what he attempted to do during the Gathering Storm. Maybe it's time for another Primarch to come back. Again, Angron has been rumoured. Maybe he can come back and start causing some damage, and it turns the Imperium into a certain situation where they need to stop this Primarch. Or maybe just another character from the lore. And guess what? I think I have the perfect one. And that is none other than Huron Blackheart. For those people who don't know, Huron Blackheart is an absolute tactical genius. You should go and read about his story. He once was a loyalist to the throne, just like Abaddon. Then, you know, things went a bit bad. I'm not going to spoil what happened, but now he serves Chaos, and he's more or less on his own against the Imperium. He's the head of the Red Corsairs. They're a badass warband. They're a badass chapter, the Astral Claws, but now they're a badass warband for me. And I've always wished that we actually got more stuff on Mr. Blackheart, Mr. Huron Blackheart, because he is such an unused character, let's say, and the potential that we could have with him, potentially even coming back in like a new model format. He has his old model. If you saw his old model, like with his hand out and stuff, come on, Games Workshop. Now is the time to bring characters like this back to life with this new Chaos Codex, which is going to be coming hopefully sometime soon. Maybe, you know, he's in line to get a new model, and hopefully more story given over to characters like this, where we can see their full potential unleashed and see awesome storylines added to this awesome setting that we all love. Anyway, enough waffling from me. I would love to get your thoughts and feedback of this. Like we always say, post it down below in the comment section and we can have a nice little talk down there. Is it just me that thinks that Chaos is kind of fell off the bandwagon? They're not more or less the main threat anymore? Do you see Orcs, Tyranids, Eldar, Dark Eldar, Necrons. Do you see these as the main threat now to the Imperium and the ones who can potentially control the galaxy? What the hell is going on with Chaos? Post it down below. Like we said, I'm making a nice little talk. See ya, have a great day, and bye-bye.